What's going on, fellas? Urban Red Pill, men first. I don't give a damn what else they say. Men first. Today, I'm going to speak about something very, very, very serious that needs to be spoken about in the manosphere a lot more often than it should. We hearing a lot, it's other things they speak about are important, but the issue of this white knight is something that I think needs to be really, really hammered home into a lot of these men's mind. A white knight is, if you think feminism is bad, if you think feminists are a piece of shit, then the white knight is the holy grail of all of that. What you have to understand is, do you really believe you would even have feminism in the first place if it wasn't for white knights? Ask yourself, as a red pill minded guy, if feminists or women were creating a movement that you over in a country that you govern over, and they came to you talking about women's suffrage, which is really just them being an inferior being. They just feel that they're suffering, but they're just inferior and they're sick of feeling that way. Imagine if they come to you and you're governing a country as a real pill minded guy, you would probably go tell them to go play in traffic or tell them to go kick rocks or do something, whatever it takes for them to get the hell out of my face, and I'm not giving them nothing. At that time, you had to have had white knights at that time for them to get things to where they are now. Now, a white knight male, at some point in his life, he decided that the number one priority to him in his life is protecting and making sure women as a gender is okay at the expense of destroying men. He has no drive, no ambition on any type of economical, prospering economically. He does not care about a work ethic. His number one priority in life is to try to protect women and impress them, all in the hopes that he could use this as a mating procedure so he can get his fucking pee-pee wet. That's really all it is. Now, once they make this decision and they start cultivating these silly menstrual thoughts in their mind, it's kind of like if you go to karate class. You practice karate, MMA, you practice MMA, sports, you practice sports, but at some point, these talents or this knowledge that you've learned, you're going to want to go out there and you want to kind of gauge and see where you are with it. That's why they have karate tournaments, they have MMA fights, boxers, they have championship fights, because all of that training, at some point, you want to go out there and show the world or show yourself to see where you are. Now, what does a white knight have when he sits at home constantly trying to figure out ways that he can protect and impress the female gender? He has none. So what this guy decides to do, I'm going to give you three places, and the three places are going to be in order, a specific order for a reason, because like I noticed that the level of white knightistry, if that's even a word, is a lot more severe from the first the first one to the third. The third to me is sporting events. Sporting events, that'll be the third one. That will be a major, you will get a major influx of white knights in places like that. Number two will be clubs. Clubs will be a second thing where you will have a major influx. Now, number one to me is these ale houses, and I'm going to tell you why I leapfrog the ale house over the club. Like I said earlier, with these white knights, with these type of men, yes, you do have some successful white knights. Those were politicians in our past. That's why we have feminism now. I'm talking about the general, the general white knight, the one that you, me, any man is going to have to encounter with at some point in your life. those white knights tend to congregate at alehouses. Hence the reason why I'm going to speak on this article. Once I read it later on in this video, just pay close attention and watch his reasoning and the behaviors for what terrible crime he did in his white knightry. Now, they love these ale houses because this is the standard of an ale house or a tavern. Admission is free. There's no dress codes. It's pretty much come as you are. A lot of times they do have drink specials where they give you 2 pitchers of beer for the price of one. They have, depending on what day you go in there, some places have quarter wings. All these different type of specials where pretty much for like 20, 25 bucks, you can actually go to these places and really have a good time where you have drinks and you have food. And this is why the white knight likes these places, because not only is it, you know, he doesn't have to worry about trying to dress up to show any type of success, which most of them don't even have any. And you could just come as you are. You could sit, you could eat the same thing that everyone else in the building is eating, and you could have drinks. And the main thing is there are a lot of women there. There are a lot of women there for them to protect. And what this white knight does, because a lot of women there, the men are going to follow. What they do is they go out to these places, they have drinks, and they look to seek conflict and confrontation with other men. And almost 100% of the time, the conflict has to do something with a woman. Now, I'm going to show you this article that I'm going to read in a little bit. This woman and this man, they were an older couple, but because I watched the way these white knights, and I watched a lot of their videos, and I watched how the little slick things that they do, a lot of times the actual woman that they're white knighting for is not the woman he's trying to impress. If there's another woman on the other side of the bar, what he will do is he will seek to cause conflict, make him seem like he's doing some moral thing for the female hive in order to impress a woman that's all the way on the other side of the room. That's how stupid their logic is. And unfortunately, in this article, the guy passed away. There are a lot of stories, even some stories in your towns where this is happening. It just a lot of times doesn't make mainstream media or even your local news, because a homicide, murder with a gun would probably get a headline before some guy pulling some white knightry at a tavern and some guy end up dying. That the story with the gun will get the slot. And man, you gotta be real careful with these guys. Even they're all around. Sometimes you have friends that are white knights. The hoes before bros guy. This guy here should not ever be trusted. If you're good friends and you have other common interests, always understand that you don't close your eyes with this guy, because the moment that there is a vagina in the middle, he's going to stab you in the back, or he will do whatever he can to rather have sex with this woman or try to impress her. Sometimes you have white knights that are your family members. You have to really watch this. My uncle is one, and he would throw everybody under the bus when it came to my mom or when it came to his girlfriend. It doesn't even matter. It was no telling how far this man would go just to impress them and get his little pat on the head like a fucking puppy. These men are pathetic. These men, I even get chill bumps even calling them men, because I am so, disgusted with these minstrels. These males are pathetic. They're the lower tier, bottom of the barrel males out here in this world. They should not be respected. They should not be trusted at all, because at the end of the day, these guys are literally out here willing to take your life to impress a woman. I hear people say the prison system is filled with alpha males, and I have to push back on that a little bit. I don't agree with that. I believe the prison system, for the lion's share of those men that are locked up in prison were due to white knightry. You got guys doing drug charges. Why? Because they took the risk to sell drugs. Why? Because they were trying to impress women. You got guys who were in there for murdering a boyfriend, trying to stop domestic, all kind of stuff. If you go through their case files, that 9 times out of 10, those case files will lead to a female. It will lead to a female. So I'm going to go ahead and read this article. You guys listen, check this out real close. I'm going to leave two. One is a longer version, one is a shorter one. The longer one does have a news video in it. Those will be in the description box. You guys check those out to see exactly what my point is, and I'm going to read this out for those who would rather just hear my voice do it. Title: Man hit by stranger during an argument with wife at Miller's Ale House dies. Quote: A man has died after being punched in the face by a stranger who intervened in an argument he was having with his wife at a Kissimmee restaurant. The wife of Shrikanath Srinivasan said he was declared clinically brain dead Tuesday and was taken off life support a day later. Barbara, which is his wife, says she and her husband were having an argument at the restaurant Tuesday night when Benjamin Hernandez confronted him about how he was talking to her. She says Hernandez then punched her husband in the face, causing him to fall and hit his head on the floor. The blow knocked the man to the ground and he hit his head, suffering brain damage, official says. I said something's not right, so I started looking around his head and I saw blood coming from the back of his head and I screamed for someone to call 911, his wife says. She told WESH2 News she got into an argument with her husband about movies earlier that night. She suggested her husband should drop her off at the ale house and she should meet him back home later. At the outdoor restaurant, outdoor bar, the couple kept talking in a serious tone. Barbara says she never asked Hernandez to get involved. Deputies said Hernandez stepped in to try to de-escalate the situation. The victim's wife says she does not see it that way. He repeatedly kept calling him the N-word, and my husband kept saying, I'm not that. That's not even my ethnicity. You don't even know what you're talking about, his wife said. Hernandez told investigators his mother was abused and he was trying to intervene so Srinivasan could not get hurt. Who has the right to go up and knock someone out if their husband goes and says something sharp, the wife says. An Orange County Sheriff's Office booking report shows Hernandez is charged with aggravated battery. He is currently out on bond. Miller's Ale House is chosen not to share any surveillance video of what happened. The executive vice president of the company sent WESH2 News a statement saying in part, our thoughts are with Mr. Srinivasan and his family. We are assisting the sheriff departments in any way that we can, end quote. As you can see, this white knight is out on bond. Chances are he's going to get some major time. They have the video surveillance and you have a dead man. His logic for this is his mother was, here we go again with this, my mother, do you see this type of effeminate behavior that this is a man that should have logic. He's using an isolated instance with his mother, with a man that his mother chooses to deal with, as a reason to justify him going out on these streets. And if he sees any woman getting talked to in a quote unquote, aggressive tone, that he has the right to intervene and step in and pay Captain Saber just over an argument. And as you can see, she said they were arguing about movies. What does that tell you? Women will create arguments over anything. And this guy justifies the abuse of his mother to actually go in there and intervene with someone else's situation. Now, I believe he was trying to also impress another woman that was at that bar, but he used their situation to get this woman's attention. This is what they do. And now this stupid idiot is faced with these charges. Now, the charge they initially gave him, that probably will be upgraded because the man finally died over the deadly blow that he gave him. I guess his head hit the ground, recoiled, and that caused him brain damage. All over what? This guy just needs to mind his fucking business and not even worry about what other couples are doing. When you see a man and a woman arguing, that is her problem. She decided to pick that guy and she decided to sleep with that guy. It is not your responsibility as a man to go in there, first of all, already assuming that she hasn't done anything wrong. What makes you think that she hasn't done anything to this guy where he hasn't confronted her in the first place? See, these white knights don't think like that. If they see a woman throwing a baby in a ditch, they will blame the dirt. That's their fucking logic. And I just wanted to talk about this subject, talk about this article, because this here is another danger that men face out here. These white knights, they will shoot you. They will, as you can see, this guy's like 50 something years old. This guy's a younger guy, that it's the same thing. He punched the guy in the face unexpectedly. He fell and hit his head. It's countless videos on the internet where you see white knights stepping in from women. And I'm going to tell you, notice the actual spots that you see these. It's always out of those top 3 that I just mentioned earlier in the video. Ale house, club, or sporting event. Also remember with the sporting events, if there's a Super Bowl or any major game, most people go to ale houses as a sporting event because they're not able to be at the event, whether they weren't able to get the tickets or the event is held in another state or city that they're not at. So what they would do is they will go to these ale houses. That's why I put the ale house as the top. And what these women do is they come there, and a lot of times they start problems because they know that there's white knights everywhere in these 3 establishments. They're everywhere. Guys, be safe. If there's any man listening to this video that could really look himself in the mirror and admit that he does have these traits, whether he was socialized or brainwashed by society to believe that that is the honorable, noble thing to do, I would suggest go through MGTOW content, read, do whatever you got to do to adjust your behavior. Because one thing I can guarantee you is whatever information you got where you feel like that is the right thing to do, you've been surely lied to. You've been lied to. It's you're the cannon fodder of gynocentrism. Pretty much. That's really what you are. They've degraded you down to cannon fodder in order to keep this train wreck going. To keep this clown show going, they need cannon fodder. And that's what you are. And at some point, look at yourself and ask yourself, is there more to you? Like this, being a man does not grant you responsibility to provision every woman in the world. Because at some point, you're going to end up rather losing your life or losing your freedom. Now, unfortunately, this husband died, but this guy's going to end up probably spending most of his life, or if not the rest of his life, in prison. For what? For what? The wife is clearly on the side of her husband. What is the point? What is he getting out of this? But I guess, he's going to be in the right place because he's going to be among his peers, his other white knight peers. Most of them are in there because at some point that road led down to them rather trying to impress a woman, trying to protect a woman, or trying to stand up for a woman, getting themselves entangled in these women issues. Let these empowered, quote unquote, strong women deal with their own problems. Let these women deal with their own fucking husbands. Sorry for the rant, fellas. You guys take care. More videos to come. check out the article in the description. And for those who do see these type of behaviors in themselves, you know, try to see if you can go ahead and acknowledge that this is what it is and make some changes. Because if not, your fate is in this article. You guys take care. More videos.